this is part 2, because you guys asked me a lot of questions, and I want to answer all of them for you. So let's jump in. Let's see. Okay. What's it like to be transgender, and do you have any advice for someone that's transgender and starting out? Oh, that's a sweet question. What's it like being transgender? You know, it's funny. I can, usually I'd be like, well, I mean, it's all I know. So, like, how can I say what it's like? But, it's funny because prior to transitioning, I mean, I guess I was still transgender, but I identified as as a gay boy. So I can say, what it is like to be transgender versus something else. And I've said this a couple times in this, it's not a series, it's like in this question and answer segment. I've said this a couple times that, it's different for everybody. You're never going to find two people who have the same experience with really anything. And I would say, for me, the biggest difference between life before transition and life after, I'm just so much happier. I mean, like, there's still, you still have your struggles and you still have your problems, but they don't seem as daunting or as terrible as before when I was just like a gay kid. Because, sorry, I'm sick, so I mean, I have to drink water a lot. I don't know why I'm apologizing for that. But because I feel more who I am, and I have that burden off of my shoulders of like lying to myself or like feeling like I'm not in the right skin anymore. It's just so much easier to just deal with life. It really is. Because if I have like a problem that I'm just so stressed out about, or like I'm in tears over a boy or whatever, honestly, what generally will calm me down, if nothing else, excuse me, is the fact that, well, at least you're now a girl, and at least your hair's long, and at least you have become someone you want to be. You've become the person you want to be, and you're still growing. And that helps me get through the day most of the time, honestly. Honestly, that is my quick go-to thing. Just like, okay, Michelle, I know everything's shitty right now or whatever, but at least you're who you want to be. So yeah. But in general, what's it like being transgender? From my perspective, it's fun. That sounds stupid, but I mean, right now the world is like, or at least America or whatever, it's like transgender is kind of on trend, I would say. Like, people want to talk about it. It's like a big topic. So when they know my business, or if it's brought up, people are really fascinated. Like, they really want to talk about it. And I can understand for a lot of people why that would be really like uncomfortable or like daunting or unappealing. But for me, it's like, I like talking to people about it. I like answering their questions. I like kind of giving them some insight. Look how like ghostly and like bright I looked. Sorry about the lighting. But I like answering their questions. I like kind of enlightening them on this so that they don't have any kind of misconceptions about transgender people. Like, because I'm just a normal girl. Like, honestly, I'm just like from Missouri. I'm in cosmetology school. I'm gonna cut some hair if I don't act. And I'm not gonna be an actress, which I'm hoping works out. But yeah, I'd say that's what being transgender is like for me. For other people, I mean, it's just different. It depends on how old you are, when you start your transition, like what kind of baggage you have with you when you start, or like what kind of people you have, what kind of support system. Because, I mean, honestly, my transition was very smooth. It was very easy. Now, Before that, it wasn't. Before my transition, life felt very, very difficult for me. You know, not that my family didn't love me or not that things weren't, uh, good for me, but on an internal kind of identity level, things were awful. I was not outgoing. I was very like shut in. I was very sad a lot, and it was bad. It was not good. It really wasn't. Um, but my transition and my life now it's just flipped. It's just completely awesome. And honestly, I would not be here right now in LA doing a movie, talking with people who have been in movies and know these just just famous people and like reading with actresses and actors who I've like seen on television. I would not be doing this if I had not decided that it was time to be me. So yeah, that's what it's like to be transgender. Did I really spend 6 minutes on that one question? But it was a good question. Uh, First and foremost, the most important question I can ask. Marry me? Ah, not right now. That's my answer to that. Next question, will you be my girlfriend? uh, I don't know. I mean, I think I'm getting married at some point to this person. Sorry. um, a lot of questions here. So, I have a few more questions for you. How did you decide on the name Michelle? Okay, on this question. I think I made a video about my name. I don't think I posted it, but I meant to post it. I wanted my name to not be vastly different from the name I was born with. I just I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't feel myself because my name was Mitchell before, and I didn't feel like a Veronica. I didn't feel like a Rebecca. I mean, like I thought about Rebecca. I thought I could be a Rebecca or like a Roxy or Roxanne or something. I mean, I don't know. Those felt closer than other names like Sarah or something or Amy. I don't know. So Michelle was easy, and even with my middle name, I wanted to keep it as close to the name I had before. I ended up choosing one with the same first letter, just because I don't really want to say my middle name, what it used to be. It was just so masculine. I feel like Mitchell wasn't. I mean, it's a male name, and it derives from Michael, but it just doesn't have the same masculine ring. I don't know. Maybe that's because I associate it with who I used to be, and that was a very feminine little boy. So, that's how I picked Michelle. It was just I always knew. I mean, like I knew I was gonna be Michelle, not anything else. Because it's not that I disliked who I was before. It wasn't that I hated my name. I even considered like, could I be a female Mitchell? Could I spell it different? And I was just no. Let's just be Michelle. So yeah. Am I still transgender if I can dress most or all the time and present as female, but I'm not sure if I can ever afford transition medically? Absolutely. I mean, being transgender is just, it's an identity thing. If you are born male but identify as female, that's transgender. Or if you... I think, transgender is an umbrella term, so there's lots of different gender identities under it. Like, I'm pretty sure even genderqueer is technically under the transgender scope, because trans means like to change or to like overcome or to go through, and then gender. So like it's just a changing of gender or identity. This video is already almost 10 minutes, but that's fine. There might be a part 3 to this. But yeah, even if you decide not to medically, if you decide not even to do hormones, let alone surgeries, yeah, you're still transgender. You can still be the woman you want to be, I think. I highly suggest hormone treatments, though. I really do. Not just on a physical kind of like, you'll get the boobs and you'll get some fat distribution in places and you'll have a more feminine figure and skin and hair and all that stuff, but it changes you like chemically. It changes your chemical makeup and you start to think differently. And for me, I don't know how to put it. I don't know. It sounds crazy when I say it, but it's just like I feel more myself. Like the way my brain chemistry kind of is. Like I know I'm more emotional. I'm more sensitive. I'm, more. I would say I'm more empathetic than I used to be. All of these things that kind of estrogen, I feel like induces in your personality. It feels right. Like on an internal, on like I feel like without that testosterone, so much testosterone in my body, this filter has kind of been lifted, like this film of confusion and just like uncomfortableness is gone, and now I'm just like I feel more myself. So I would highly suggest, if you can, to do hormones, to get some hormones. But yeah, you're still transgender, girl. Don't worry about it. Is it okay to be transgender but not actually all girl all the time? Yeah. I mean, you have to remember though, as a transgender person, I think it's very, very important to not get caught up in like definitions of gender or of titles and stuff. Like, honestly, what is a boy? What is a girl? What's a man? What's a woman? Because if we are discounting the idea that your genitalia is like the sole identifier of your gender identity, if we're saying that isn't going to if the fact that you have a penis doesn't make you a man, or the fact that you have a vagina doesn't necessarily make you a woman, then what is a man and what's a woman? It becomes like a feminine or a masculine thing, but it's like, but there are masculine women and they're still women. There are feminine men, but they're still men. So, and if you get caught up in these definitions and these terms and these scales and stuff, you're gonna find no real solid answer for yourself, and that's fine. Like, you will love yourself better, more. You will appreciate other people more, and you will see the world and like humanity, honestly, humanity in a completely different way when you kind of take away all that stuff that's ingrained into our heads about men and women and gender and sex and all that. And also, because I mean, this is just how we're raised. You need to separate sexuality from gender. They are two completely separate things. They interplay with each other a lot, but they are not the same thing. They are not. So don't think about that either. What was the first part of that question? Is it okay to be transgender, but not actually a girl all the time? Yeah, I mean, like, what does that mean? Like, a girl all the time? Does that mean that sometimes you like to be really hyper feminine and girly, and other times you like to be like masculine? That's normal. That really is, because you're so not used to being and identifying as a girl that it can be like exhausting, because you're learning about what it means to you to be a woman, and you're learning like how to be that, and it's foreign, it really is, when you have never played around with that before. But eventually, everybody is different, and you might stay this way. You really, you might like the separation and to be one thing one day and one thing the next. But I think more likely than not, you're going to find those two things come closer and closer together over time, and they kind of mush. So that some days you might be a little girly, but then, at the same time, you're still going to go home and like put on some boy shorts and an old t-shirt and just like chill and like with your hair up, and you're just gonna like drink a beer or something. But you're still a girl, you're still a transgender girl, you know? Like, just because you aren't wearing the dress or just because you don't have the makeup on doesn't mean you aren't still a girl. So, that's that answer. Do you have any tips on how to pick out a great and unique female name? How common is it for... Oh, wait, that's a separate question. You know, I wouldn't focus on trying to make your name, like, so unique. I think a lot of girls, you know, I think you really do. You're trying to find your identity, so you want something that you feel shows who you are and separates you from other people. But in the same realm, don't draw more attention to yourself than you really need. Like, there are a lot of girls who they have like stripper names, like Venus. I mean, whilst there are definitely women out there who are named Venus, I mean, you have Venus and Serena, the tennis players. But Venus is it's not a common name for a woman, and being transgender, you don't want people to think of you as like a drag queen, because usually, I mean, this was even the case with me. When you start out your transition, like, you're not gonna pass like a whole lot. I mean, maybe a little bit, or maybe a lot if you're really passable to begin with. And if your name is like, I don't even know, like Diamond, like, people are gonna be like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing there. I don't know. I mean, like, and even if you aren't worried about that judgment, and if you're not worried about all that, then that's great. I mean, that's great. More power to you. But I would say the best way to find a name for yourself is to look up names that were popular the year you were born, or to look at girls around your age group, or women you look up to, you know, who are role models for you, and look at their name and other people like them. That's how I would do that, honestly. And you'll find that if you compile a list of like different names you like, and or names you don't, and also names you don't like, you're gonna find similarities, and you're gonna find like a different ring to the names that you like, and a different ring to the names you don't like. Also, ask your close friends and family. Like, I would say, like, what name do I look like? What kind of girl do I look like? Who do I look like? You know, a lot of people say I look like a Rebecca or a Roxy or Roxanne, and for a while I considered it. But just as many people, actually, you know, more, were like, you know, you look, you know, Michelle works for you. You seem like a Michelle. So ask your close friends and just pick out names. But yeah, I wouldn't worry about trying to make sure that your name is like especially unique, because I mean, there's no original name under the sun. If you're gonna share a name with someone, and if, you know, maybe you will be a Venus or a Diamond. I mean, shit, I ain't gonna judge you for that, but don't worry about being different. Don't. How common is it for trans men and trans women to date each other versus dating the opposite gender as they present themselves? Hold on. How common is it for trans men and trans women to date each other versus dating the opposite gender as they present themselves? I don't really understand your question like a whole lot, but I'm going to try to answer it the best I can. I think it's kind of rare. I mean, it's not, you know, it's not, it does happen, but I don't think there are a whole lot of trans men and trans women who get together. I think it's an awesome, beautiful thing when they do, because you know that they see each other's, like, true selves, or maybe they're attracted to each other's, like, parts, you know, in that way. I mean, I'm sure that could create a really awesome union, honestly. Like, if you are a trans woman who, you know, likes vagina, and if you are a trans man who likes dick, then that's perfect. I mean, it's untraditional, obviously, but that's beautiful. But it's probably, I mean, I think it's really rare. I really do. Yeah. And What was that last bit to your question? Versus dating the opposite gender as they present themselves. I mean, I definitely think it's more common for there to be trans women who date straight men. That's definitely more common. But I think that's just because, well, for one thing, I think a lot of trans women are straight. I don't know how to answer your question, but I don't think a lot of trans men and trans women date. Okay, I'm going to make a part 3 to this video. Get ready for that.